Okay, hey everyone. So I thought I would make a follow-up video to the out of my element, not doing gutters. Anyways, everything went good, and then I started thinking about it after we got paid. I love gutters. I have no problem with gutters. In fact, I don't feel like I'm even out of my element anymore with gutters. I'm used to being on the ladder now. I only did the front part of the house, and Clark pretty much if this was a racetrack, he would have lapped me like 3 times. But from what I did do, I mean, I had no problem with it, and it ended up being out of my element. But then I ended up getting kind of used to it. So now I'm kind of confused to wonder: is there such a thing as being out of your element, but at the same time, maybe you're not really out of your element. You just don't know how to do something, and you need to learn to do it. So you feel scared the first time you do it, but then after you do it, you're not scared anymore, and you actually end up enjoying it. So I don't know. Um, Maybe there's no such thing as being out of your element. Maybe it's just you haven't done something before and you don't know if you're good at it, and then once you do it, you can decide then if you're bad at it, then you can think, well, I'm out of my element. But if you ended up being good at it, then I guess it wasn't being out of your element. It was just being inexperienced. So we ended up liking gutters. I think we were just nervous because I had never done them before. I mean, he had. So maybe I would have not liked them if I didn't have somebody that already knew what they were doing. So I'm really fortunate to have a partner that already has been through a lot of different things and I can learn off of. So if there's somebody that you can learn from, even if it's just off of YouTube videos, or if there's someone that's just gonna, maybe talk to you for a few hours, that maybe it's not your partner, or maybe it's not somebody that's going to go out with you and do different things, but hey, maybe it's maybe a neighbor and they happen to have done things in a different area and that you might be interested in one day. Maybe they can just talk to you and maybe show you a few things. I was driving down the road the other day, and there was always this one house that I admired, and I always thought they had such a nice yard. They had a lot of plants and landscaping, but it wasn't overly done up. It was like simple to maintain, and they had flowers and plants, and they even had like a vegetable garden, and but it all came together so well. It was right in the middle of the city, but it almost seemed like you were in your own little world if you were in that yard. And the guy was always real friendly, and he was always sitting on his deck with an iced tea in his hand. He kind of would wave when you go by. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to let him know. I think his yard is really beautiful. So I kind of slowed down and I was like, you got a really beautiful yard. And then he just started talking to me, and he struck up a conversation. And him and his wife were making like blueberry gobbler, and they gave me like his old weed eater he had had for like 11 years. So, just being able to talk and learn from other people, I feel like maybe there's no such thing as being out of your element. I think maybe sometimes you could be inexperienced with something and not know how to do it, and so you feel out of your element. And I don't know how to distinguish the difference between just being afraid of something that's new and having to learn it, and then just maybe if you were bad at it afterwards, then you'd be out of your element. But maybe there's no such thing until you actually try something and then decide. Because I know there's so many times I'd get hired at a job and be so nervous the first day I show up. But then after training and getting good at it, I ended up doing pretty good at some of those jobs. And some of them I was still bad at even after training. So maybe being willing to try new things and other types of jobs is good. If you can find one little niche that you can stay in, that's good. But if you're like just starting up and maybe that one niche you do want to be in isn't giving you enough work, and someone offers you something else and you don't have a lot of money at the time because you don't have enough yards, hey, if you got somebody that's already done that could help you learn that, And I say kind of like go for it, because if we ever get offered gutters again, as long as they're on the first story, and maybe even if they're a little bit higher, but they're not super hard to do. Well, no, I am not going to do the high ones. Never mind all that. But if they're first story gutters, or even second story that have a flat roof, then we'll do gutters. But I know for a fact, if it is like that steep again on a third story, I can't do it. I know I will not allow anybody even around me to do it, because that is freaky. So, but yeah, if it's, I now know the difference between a cool gutter and an uncool gutter. And if it's a cool gutter, yeah, I'm totally willing to do gutters again. So I just thought I'd share that, so that maybe if you're thinking about maybe going out of your comfort zone a little, maybe it's not so bad. Have a good night.